In this video, you're going to discover the 7 more signs of a stupid woman. Signs many live out, but few have the courage to truly see, because it's not a lack of intelligence that destroys a woman. It's the refusal to wake up to her own patterns, those small daily betrayals against herself, disguised as strength, love, or freedom, but leading only to stagnation. The foolish woman doesn't realize that her worst enemy isn't the world outside. It's the silent abandonment she practices against her own soul. And the cruelest part? Most don't even feel it. They just repeat and lose themselves. In this video, you'll understand why certain pains seem eternal, why certain cycles keep repeating even after you promise yourself it will be different. And if you have the courage to stay until the end, you might realize that between the woman you've been and the woman you were born to become, there's only one choice: to wake up. How many times have you clung to a choice, not because it was right, but because letting go felt like humiliation? You feel the pain of walking the wrong path, but you persist, as if losing your way were somehow better than admitting you were wrong. And in this invisible theater, you call your stubbornness strength, when in truth, it's just fear disguised as courage. The foolish woman doesn't see that true strength isn't holding on to what hurts. It's releasing what has already died. She insists, even when the entire universe screams for her to change. She clings to situations, to people, to old versions of herself, as if that could save her from shame. But all it does is pull her deeper into resentment. It's easy to mistake resistance for dignity, easy to call wounded pride conviction. But life has no mercy for those who refuse to learn. Doesn't wait. It drags you. And while you fight against the current, the chances that could have healed your story pass by. Silent, unseen. Sometimes letting go feels like losing, but those who fear losing end up losing much more. Because every time you insist on what's already destroying you, you betray yourself. You kill the part of you that still had the strength to be reborn. And it's in this blind spot between pride and fear that many women begin turning their suffering into spectacle, believing it somehow makes them strong. There's a silent and brutal difference between being real and exposing yourself. You feel it, don't you? That thin line that separates the courage to show yourself from the desperate need to be validated. The foolish woman doesn't sense this line. She believes that the more intimate details she reveals, the more admirable she becomes. As if tearing open her wounds in public were an act of greatness. She posts her pain, declares her breakups, opens her soul to strangers, not to heal, but to be seen. And every comment, every like, every "you're so strong" message acts like a little anesthesia, numbing for a moment the emptiness growing inside her. But the anesthesia fades, and the void returns, bigger than before. Being transparent isn't the same as being wise. Exposing yourself isn't the same as healing. The woman who turns her life into a spectacle forgets that intimacy is sacred, that not every wound needs to become a speech, not every fall needs to be turned into a banner. Sometimes the deepest healing happens in the silence no one applauds. But as long as she confuses exposure with value, she remains trapped in a vicious cycle. The more she reveals, the more she feels something is missing. The louder she screams, the less she can hear herself. And it's in this echo of emptiness that she starts to glorify chaos, believing that emotional turbulence is proof of being truly alive. For many, chaos has a hypnotic glow. It screams, it burns, it consumes, and it deceives. And for the foolish woman, this disorder isn't a warning, it's an invitation. She believes that where there's confusion, there's life. That if a relationship isn't a roller coaster of extremes, then it isn't love. That if a friendship isn't a theater of jealousy and dramatic reconciliations, then it isn't real. She confuses intensity with depth. She thinks violent emotions are proof of connection, when in truth, they're just symptoms of unresolved neediness. She chases after those who mistreat her, drowns herself in toxic relationships, calls soulmate the very thing that tears her away from herself. And deep down, she convinces herself that all this suffering is proof of passion. But passion without consciousness is just combustion. It burns everything, leaves ruins. And the woman who glorifies chaos forgets that true intensity doesn't come from noise. It comes from the silent depth of a bond that doesn't need constant proof. While she romanticizes drama, she sabotages herself. While she glorifies imbalance, she delays her own blooming. Because real love, true friendship, a full life, do not thrive in noisy storms. They live in a peace that, for those who have only known turmoil, feels unbearable. And it's in that discomfort in the face of peace that she begins to prefer quick pleasures over the growth that requires patience. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, why not hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and leave a comment. It's quick, easy, and helps me create even more awesome content for you. Also, take a second to check out my ebook, links in the comments. Impulse is treacherous. It whispers sweet promises in your ear. You deserve it now. Just this once. You'll figure it out later. And the foolish woman listens. She mistakes momentary relief for lasting happiness. She spends what she doesn't have, loves those who don't deserve it, speaks when she should stay silent, all in the name of craving something that distracts her from herself. She lives as if eating sugar could satisfy the hunger of the soul, and calls it self-care. She doesn't realize that every pleasure chosen without awareness digs an even deeper hole inside her, a hole that cannot be filled with shopping sprees, likes, drinks, or empty promises. Because what's missing isn't stimulation, it's meaning. The path of instant gratification is a labyrinth. The more you chase, the more lost you become. And every choice made to numb the void only prolongs the cycle of suffering. The wise woman understands this. She knows that true fulfillment doesn't scream, it whispers. And to hear it, you must say no many times before a wholehearted yes can be born. But as long as the foolish woman keeps running from the discomfort of waiting, she will keep trading the eternal for the fleeting. She will keep sacrificing peace for euphoria. She will keep betraying herself, all the while believing she's saving herself. And it's in this invisible cycle of self-abandonment that she slowly begins to sacrifice her values, just to continue belonging. Somewhere between the fear of rejection and the hunger for belonging, many women begin to disfigure themselves. Little by little, they trade their convictions for easy applause. They adjust their opinions, their boundaries, their truths, like changing outfits to fit the party of the moment. The foolish woman believes that to be loved is to be validated by everyone. So she molds herself, shrinks herself, represses herself, smiles at what she should confront, agrees with what she should question, and every time she does, she loses a piece of herself, almost without noticing. At first, it seems small, a no big deal, a let it go. But deep down, she's dying while alive. Betraying your own values doesn't hurt immediately. It's a silent wound, like a crack in the foundation of a house. You still smile, still dance, still post happy pictures, but inside, everything becomes hollow, because the soul knows when it has been sold, and no temporary acceptance can fill the void that comes from self-abandonment. The wise woman knows. Belonging without betraying yourself is rare and precious. But as long as the foolish woman keeps believing that being loved means being unrecognizable to herself, she will continue idolizing appearance over substance. She'll keep trying to seem admirable, when what her soul cries for is to be authentic. Have you noticed how easy it is nowadays to mistake shine for value? How just a pretty face, a rehearsed smile, a clever quote, is enough to earn applause? The foolish woman gets lost in this false mirror. She devotes hours to the image the world sees, and forgets to nurture the woman she is when no one's watching. She chases compliments, strives to be desired, envied, celebrated. But somewhere along the way, she loses the thread that once connected her to her own soul. The surface shines, but the inside withers. Because when you live to be seen, you inevitably stop seeing yourself. Vanity, when left unchecked, is a silent form of self-abandonment. You feel like you're conquering the world, but you're losing yourself. And the woman who idolizes appearances believes that love is approval, that happiness is visibility, that dignity is something you can put on like makeup. She doesn't realize that without substance, all beauty is disposable. All celebration is hollow. All victory is lonely. While she keeps investing in how she's perceived, instead of in who she truly is, she drifts further and further away from who she was meant to become. And it's in that gap between who she appears to be and who she refuses to become that her greatest fear is born. The fear of being alone. There's a kind of silence that hurts more than any abandonment. The silence where it's just you, and the truth about who you've become. The foolish woman dreads that meeting. She would rather endure shallow relationships, transactional friendships, lukewarm love, anything, even crumbs, than face the empty space that real growth demands. She tolerates disrespect, accepts less than she deserves, adapts to what diminishes her, not because she doesn't know she's betraying herself, but because she believes that having someone, even at the cost of her soul, is better than being alone with her own reflection. The fear of solitude is the fear of the mirror. It's the fear of hearing the inner voice that's been begging for change. It's easier to fill the calendar than to face the emptiness. Easier to collect company than to build inner presence. And so she stays busy, while real life quietly slips away. But the wise woman knows, solitude, when faced with courage, is a bridge, not a prison. It's there that clarity is born, strength, true peace. And as long as the foolish woman keeps running from this portal, she will keep sacrificing her soul, just to avoid feeling abandoned by others, not realizing that the worst abandonment is the one you do to yourself. Now that you've seen the 7 more signs of a stupid woman, a silent responsibility is born. It's not enough to recognize the patterns. You must have the courage to break them. You can keep hiding behind urgency, neediness, appearances. You can keep calling fear strength, chaos passion, and solitude failure. Or, for the first time, you can choose the silence that heals instead of the noise that distracts, the presence that transforms instead of the validation that empties. Destiny doesn't change for those who keep denying their own shadow. It changes for those who face the mirror and refuse to look away. So now I ask you, will you keep repeating the same old story or finally start writing a new one? Write in the comments, "I choose awakening," to mark the day you stopped betraying yourself and began finding your true self. If this video lit something inside you that ordinary words can't explain, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and stay with us on this journey of awakening, awareness, and inner power.